I was in my office, flipping through the background check on Julian Thorne, my wife's childhood sweetheart. My wife, Elena Vance, had barged in. She slammed the divorce papers onto my mahogany desk with a sharp thwack. "Caleb, I'm sorry. The person I've always loved is Julian. Let's get a divorce." I stared at the zero settlement clause, remaining silent. My tech company had just gone public on the NYSE. I hadn't expected her to go this far for Julian. This was the third time Elena had asked for a divorce. The first time was shortly after Julian returned from Europe. We had just finished being intimate and were lying in bed. Elena was staring at the ceiling when she suddenly spoke. "Honey, let's divorce. Julian is back. You know he saved my life when we were kids. I would have died if not for him. Back then, Julian went abroad, and I only chose to be with you out of spite. I know you love me deeply, but I've never forgotten him." I couldn't help but recall the scene from years ago. We were walking home from school, laughing and chasing each other near the road. A delivery truck, loaded with lumber, came careening around the corner. Julian had shoved Elena, his eyes filled with a strange malice. At the time, my mind went blank. The truck driver, in a panic, swerved hard, missing Elena but hitting Julian squarely. Elena fainted on the spot at the sight of Julian's mangled body. The surgeon who operated on Julian happened to be my uncle. I overheard his conversation with Julian's mother. We saved his life, but the pelvic trauma was catastrophic. We had to remove. Julian's mother had collapsed on the floor, wailing. When they wheeled Julian out, he saw me. Before he was discharged, Julian knelt before me, begging me not to tell a soul. I looked at Julian, weeping and pleading on the floor, and remembered that look of malice, wondering if I had imagined it. After all, the three of us grew up together. We were close, and Elena doted on him. Anyone could see she had a crush on him. I couldn't fathom a reason why Julian would want Elena dead. I assumed I had seen it wrong. After high school graduation, Julian asked if I liked Elena. Elena had been a beauty since childhood, prom queen material from middle school through high school. I didn't hide it, I nodded. Later, ignoring Elena's desperate pleas, Julian went to Europe for university. Elena, heartbroken and spiteful, chose to be with me. I was ecstatic. For all those years growing up, she revolved around Julian, while I revolved around her. Her every smile dictated my mood. After getting what I wanted, I ignored my family's objections and applied to the same university as Elena. I knew Julian was the perfect memory in her heart, but I believed time would prove everything. I was the better choice. After college, we naturally transitioned into marriage. Then I started my company. For years, I treated Elena like royalty. I habitually gave her the best of everything, never letting her suffer a single hardship. During the startup phase, I worked day and night, drinking myself into the ER multiple times just to close deals, all to give Elena a better life. Now, finally, the suffering was over. The IPO was a massive success. Yet, Julian had been back in New York for only a month, and Elena was acting like she was possessed. She'd run out in the middle of the night because Julian was scared of thunder, had a cold, or drank too much. We fought constantly. Every time, she'd say, "Caleb, stop making a scene. Julian saved my life. What is wrong with me taking care of him?" Eventually, I made my peace with it. After all, Julian was impotent. He couldn't exactly physically cheat with her. I just never expected Elena to decisively demand a divorce now. I lay in bed, looking at Elena's flushed face in disbelief, rage burning in my chest. "Elena, listen to yourself. Do you know that when Julian pushed you back then, he wasn't trying to save you? He wanted to kill you. And that accident left him damaged. He's not even a man anymore. You're divorcing me for him." Elena sat up abruptly, the sheets slipping from her shoulder, unnoticed. Her eyes widened, filled with icy anger. "Caleb, do you hear what you're saying? Julian has always been kind. Just to keep me from leaving, you make up something so vicious and absurd to smear him? You disgust me." She grabbed her clothes, slammed the door, and went to sleep in the guest room. I vaguely remembered our wedding night. She had hugged me tightly, tears in her eyes. "Caleb, I love you. I will only love you for the rest of my life." They talk about the 7-year itch, but it only took 5 for her to become a stranger. After that night, the Cold War began. She slept in the guest room, her face like stone. She'd show up at the office just to clock in, spending most of her time staring at her phone, smiling at whoever was on the other end. I had my assistant investigate Julian. The first thing we found was a history of gambling debts overseas. I took the evidence home immediately and threw it in front of Elena. Sitting on the sofa, she looked at the photos of Julian entering casinos and scoffed. "Caleb, do you think I'm stupid enough to believe these Photoshopped pictures? You don't actually think Julian came back for my money, do you? He's not like you, obsessed with wealth. In that moment, looking at the woman I had loved for over 20 years mocking me, my heart finally died. Caleb, let's get divorced. I told Julian about your ridiculous accusations. Do you know how hurt he was? How angry? He said he's willing to get a medical exam to prove his innocence. But, Caleb, if he actually has to go to a doctor, regardless of the result, it's a massive humiliation. And now you're accusing him of being a gold digger? I know you're jealous, but you cannot tarnish the purity of Julian's love for me. I laughed out of sheer anger. Fine, I'm the greedy one. I'm the one tarnishing your pure love. Since you're dying to divorce, I'll grant your wish. But you leave with nothing. 0 assets. Elena went silent, her face fluctuating between pale and red. With the company public, half the assets would be an astronomical sum. She held a VP title, but I ran everything. Since I was done with her, I didn't care about the person, but I refused to leave my hard-earned money to that pair of parasites. I want to see just how pure their love really was. When she didn't speak, I scoffed. Guess your love isn't that priceless after all. I overestimated you too. Elena stood up abruptly, stammering, before stomping her foot and storming out. I stood at the villa's entrance and shouted at her back. Elena, think it over. If this goes to court and news of your infidelity gets out, what will your parents, the respectable educators, think? You don't want everyone knowing Julian is a homewrecker, do you? She trembled, but kept walking. Her parents were high school teachers. Her father was a principal. They valued reputation above life itself. I knew she would consider my offer. Sure enough, a week later, Elena barged into my office and slammed the settlement agreement on my desk. She glared at me. Caleb, I'm taking nothing. Are you satisfied now? I told Julian, and he fully supports me. See? That's the difference between you two. You'll always be a merchant reeking of copper coins, calculating gains and losses, tainting love. Julian is different. He just wants me, Elena Vance. A man like you doesn't deserve my love. Caleb, you're pathetic. Hearing this, even I was confused. Was Julian really not back for the money? Turning down $500 million? Since I couldn't figure it out, I decided not to care. Who argues with keeping their own money? I happily signed the papers. To be honest, even though I had loved Elena for so many years. Once you truly give up on someone, facing divorce isn't as devastating as you'd imagine. Instead, I felt an unprecedented sense of relief. The assets were safe. I no longer had to walk on eggshells, anticipating Elena's every mood. Elena took the signed papers with satisfaction. As she reached the door, she paused, turning back with a complicated expression. Caleb, actually, I've seen everything you've done for me over the years. You are in my heart. It's just that I realized I love Julian a little bit more. If you're willing, I could allow you to be my lover. I stared at her in shock, then roared, Get the hell out. Damn it. What a delusional woman. I was rich and about to be single. I could have any woman I wanted. She was insane. It was the first time I'd ever yelled at her. Her face turned crimson. Caleb, don't be ungrateful. I'm only giving you this one chance. Next time, even if you kneel and beg, I won't look at you. She dropped her threat and stormed out. By afternoon, the housekeeper called to say Elena had packed and left the villa. I didn't care. I was just waiting for the 30-day cooling-off period to end. Elena moved straight into Julian's rental apartment. She threw herself into his arms, unable to suppress her joy, looking up at him like she expected a reward. Julian, look, Caleb and I are divorced. No one can stop us from being together now. Julian stiffened, a flicker of unnatural discomfort crossing his face. He gently pushed her away. Meeting her confused gaze, he explained, Elena, you've only signed the papers. You don't have the decree yet. We should keep some distance. You sleep in the guest room. When the divorce is finalized, which is also your birthday, I'll give you a huge surprise. Elena's disappointment vanished. She felt Julian was far more considerate and thoughtful than Caleb. You always think of everything, Julian. She leaned sweetly against him, oblivious to his subtle flinch, pressing her face to his chest. Julian, when I'm totally free, let's travel, okay? Just you and me. Anywhere. We can have a destination wedding. Caleb only cared about money. He was always busy. A trace of disgust flashed in Julian's eyes. His arm hovered loosely around her shoulder, his fingers cold. Okay, whatever you say. He paused, his voice softening. Elena, you've suffered for me all these years, gave up so much. Don't worry. If Caleb could build a business like that, so can I. I will lay the best things in the world at your feet. Elena teared up, moved beyond words. It was all worth it. I had just finished a board meeting when I got a call from my high school classmate, Victoria Tori Ashcroft. Her voice held a hint of excitement. Caleb, you're divorced? How did you know? I asked, surprised. Elena posted a photo with Julian Thorne in the alumni group chat. The whole chat is blowing up. I opened the group chat. 99 plus notifications. At the top was a photo Elena posted 30 minutes ago. Sunrise over a sea of clouds, her and Julian side by side on a peak, fingers interlocked. Caption: long-awaited reunion. The morning light is perfect. The chat was in chaos. Is that Elena and Julian? What's happening? Where is Caleb? Julian is back. This photo. Elena, aren't you and Caleb? Did Elena get divorced? She used to follow Julian around like a puppy. Is this a rekindled flame? Elena replied, some destinies arrive late. Caleb and I have separated. Thank for the concern. Julian posted a smug emoji. Below there was a wall of question marks and shocked emojis, with a sparse few true love or blessings that were impossible to distinguish from sarcasm. Tori's voice came through the phone again. Caleb, there's a high school reunion tonight. Want me to accompany you? I paused, guessing her intent. Tori was also a classmate, but she was the lost heiress of the Ashcroft dynasty. When the Ashcrofts first found her and brought her back, she wasn't accepted. The fake heiress bullied her relentlessly at school. No one dared to help her. Once I was smoking on the roof and found her sitting on the edge, eyes empty. The wind was whipping her skirt violently. I walked over, handed her a cigarette, and asked if she wanted one. She glanced at me blankly, didn't take it, didn't speak. I leaned against the railing, looking out at the gray city. You're an heiress, top of the class. This dump isn't worth your life. If you want to jump, wait until you've seen the bigger world. Later, I secretly recorded evidence of the bullying and anonymously sent it to the principal and the Ashcroft family. That changed her situation. No one knew it was me. Tori asked me directly later. I shrugged, neither admitting nor denying. She asked why. I said, you have nice legs. She blushed. Tori went on to graduate top of her class from Harvard. She eventually took over the family empire, becoming a bona fide billionaire CEO. My own startup success was largely due to her shadow backing. The Ashcroft Group was my biggest investor. She rarely attended these reunions. Inviting me meant she wanted to defend my honor. I paused for a second, then agreed. Sure, I'll pick you up. Meeting Tori at the club entrance, she looked more stunning than ever, more beautiful than Elena, and with far more class. Her long legs were blindingly white against her dress. She naturally linked her arm through mine, smiling. Let's go, CEO Sterling. When the doors opened, the noise of the party cut off instantly. Everyone's eyes swiveled to us. Tori Ashcroft was untouchable, rarely seen in these circles. And seeing her hand resting on my arm made the air freeze. Elena and Julian's expressions stiffened in unison. Elena's face went white, her eyes glued to Tori's hand on me. Julian looked like he wanted to murder Tori, which confused me. Well, look who it is. The class president, the organizer, jumped up to break the tension. Caleb and Tori, long time no see. You two look incredible. Seat. The others rushed to greet us, their eyes darting between me, Elena, Julian, and Tori with excitement and curiosity. This was a drama goldmine. Tori was the most successful person in our class, a billionaire. I was next with a newly listed company. We became the center of gravity. The class president, having had a few too many drinks, spoke loudly. Caleb, how did you and Elena split up? Did you know Elena just gave Julian a watch? Cost a few $1,000s. Tori smiled brilliantly. What a coincidence. I have a gift for Caleb today, too. She pulled out an exquisite box. Inside was a limited edition Patek Philippe. The president gasped. Isn't that the Grandmaster chime? That's like $8 million. Oh my God, I'm seeing a real one. The room erupted in envy. 8 million versus a few thousand. It was a massacre. Try it on. Does it fit? She looked up at me, eyes sparkling. I remembered your wrist size, saw it at an auction, and knew it belonged to you. I grinned ear to ear. Tori, this is too much. How can I accept this? Hush. She gave me a playful look, cheeks slightly flushed, and gently fastened it on my wrist. The classmates weren't stupid. They started hooting. Damn, Caleb, you sly dog. You landed the Ashcroft heiress. Now, that is a power couple. The president waved his hand. Rare to have our two biggest CEOs here. You two have to do a cross-arm toast. The crowd chanted, drink, drink. Elena and Julian sat forgotten in the corner. Elena was trembling with rage. She bit her lip, staring at the dazzling watch on my wrist, then thinking of the heartfelt gift she gave Julian. The humiliation was drowning her. Julian's eyes were filled with venom, his knuckles white as he gripped his glass. Tori gazed at me affectionately, her face flushing deeper as she leaned in for the toast. The room thundered with applause. Many cast complicated glances toward the corner, some mocking, some gloating. Elena, grinding her teeth, stood up abruptly. What are you all looking at? Expecting me to book a room for them? Unable to stand it, she grabbed Julian and fled. Outside the private room, Julian's face was livid. Elena, how could he? You're still in the cooling-off period. How can he parade around with another woman right in front of you? You have over a decade of history, childhood sweethearts, a marriage. Even if you're divorcing, you haven't got the decree yet. And he's showing off a new fling, taking expensive gifts, drinking. Cross-arm toasts? Elena, I feel so worthless on your behalf. His eyes turned incredibly vicious. Damn it, it's all that bitch Victoria's fault. That vixen. She must have seduced Caleb. Shameless. Elena looked at Julian in surprise. He seemed angrier than she was. It's okay, Julian. Caleb is just playing hard to get. He's trying to provoke me. He thinks this will make me jealous. He's so childish. Julian hesitated. Really? Of course. We grew up together. He's been obsessed with me since we were kids. When have you ever seen him look at another woman? Hearing this, Julian exhaled. True. Then Julian's eyes shifted. He grabbed Elena's hand. Caleb humiliated you today just because he has money now. Elena, I have some friends, PhDs from overseas, who are back in town and starting an AI venture. They want me in. Can you give me $1 million for startup capital? Elena hesitated. $1 million used to be nothing. But now, she was leaving with 0 assets. She'd have to sell her luxury bag collection at a loss to scrape that together. Seeing her hesitate, Julian pressed on. These are top-tier experts in artificial intelligence. You know how hot AI is right now. Give me 3 years, and our wealth will dwarf Caleb's. Don't you trust me? Julian. He let go of her hand, face darkening, turning to leave. Fine. I get it. I'm not worthy. Elena panicked and grabbed him. Julian, I promise. Give me 2 days. I'll get you the money. Julian instantly switched to a radiant smile, holding her hand tight. I knew you were the best, Elena. Don't worry. When I make it big, I'll give you the world. Elena was moved to tears. The month-long cooling-off period finally passed. We walked out of City Hall with the divorce decree. Elena looked at me, hesitating. Caleb, tonight is my birthday. A double celebration, really. You're welcome to come. I looked at her with a faint smile. Since we're divorced, let's make a clean break. But I do have a surprise for you. You'll see tonight. I walked away without looking back. Tonight would likely be the longest night of her life. Elena watched me go, frowning, suppressing her unease. So dramatic. Elena's birthday party was at a mid-tier hotel ballroom. Her friends, classmates, and social circle were there. Julian attended as her partner, and they put on a show of affection. Everyone speculated if a wedding was imminent. Elena, when are you and Julian tying the knot? Clinging to Julian, Elena lowered her head, blushing like a bride. That depends on Julian. A flicker of unnatural tension crossed Julian's face. He whispered, Elena, remember the big surprise I promised? I need to go prepare it. Okay, Julian. She let go obediently, face full of expectation. Her best friend whispered, so mysterious. Is he going to propose? Julian hadn't taken more than a few steps when a young woman in her 20s ran in, weeping hysterically. She saw Julian and screamed, Julian Thorne, you bastard. I was drunk last night. What did you do to me? Why were my clothes off? I can't live like this. My innocence. I might as well die. She collapsed on the floor, wailing. It was heart-wrenching. The banquet hall exploded. Everyone stared at Julian in disbelief. Julian's mind went blank. He knew her, Tiffany. They met at a bar, became drinking buddies, strictly platonic. Last night they went out. She got wasted, passed out. He couldn't leave her, so he took her to a hotel. He didn't do anything, couldn't do anything. He just took off her jacket because it had vomit on it. She wouldn't let him leave. She took off the rest herself. He was impotent. Even if he wanted to, the equipment didn't work. Julian's eyes blazed with panic and anger. Tiffany, don't you dare slander me. I only took off your jacket. You took off the rest yourself. Don't pin this on me. The crowd gasped. Oh my God. He admitted it. A man and a woman in a room, clothes off. Yikes. She was drunk. That's assault regardless of consent. I thought he was a good guy. Turns out he's trash. Did the deed and won't admit it. Elena Dumpso, sterling for this guy. The blood drained from Elena's face. She stared at Julian. Julian, is it true? You went to a hotel. Elena, let me explain. Nothing happened. I swear I just took her there to sleep it off. Tiffany cried louder, pulling a receipt from her bag and throwing it. What is this then? I got this from the front desk. You booked the room. Elena picked it up. Date, hotel name, Julian's name. Elena Swayed. Last night, he said he was with his business partners. You said you were discussing the business plan. Her voice trembled. I was, but then. Julian stammered. Elena, believe me. I didn't touch her. Tiffany wailed. You scumbag. Still lying. I want to die. The onlooker sneered. What a loser. Novak Bone. Poor girl. Disgrace to men. Julian exploded, pointing at Tiffany. Stop twisting the truth. I'll call the police. Tiffany lifted her chin, defiant. Call them. If you don't, you're a coward. The hotel cameras saw us. And you just admitted taking off my clothes while I was drunk. That's sexual assault right there. Let's see how many years you get. Julian turned pale as a sheet. No, wait. I just meant the jacket. Enough. Elena was shaking with rage. It was as if she was seeing this man clearly for the first time. She remembered a month ago, his gentle promises. I will lay the best things in the world at your feet. She couldn't reconcile that man with this piece of trash in front of her. She had abandoned her devoted husband for a predator. Unable to hold back, she slapped Julian across the face. Julian, you still won't admit it? You disappoint me. An intoxicated woman cannot consent. Touching her is a felony. A middle-aged man in gold-rimmed glasses spoke up, a lawyer friend of Elena's. Sexual assault can carry a sentence of 5 years. The hall fell deathly silent. Everyone looked at Julian with disgust. Julian swayed, nearly collapsing. The murmurs rose like a tide, drowning him. Call the cops, girl. Lock him up. He admitted it. We're witnesses. Garbage like him belongs in prison. Julian felt the world spinning. Weightless. Panic consumed him. He couldn't go to jail. He couldn't explain this away. The noise in his head grew unbearable. Suddenly, he started screaming. I didn't. I couldn't. I can prove it. Someone scoffed. How? No cameras in the room. Yeah, you admitted stripping her. Veins popped on Julian's forehead. I said I can prove it. I'm not a man. That part of me is gone. I have no interest in women. Another voice mocked. Oh, please. Lying to get out of jail? Shameless. Who can prove that? I'm a woman. If I say I'm not interested in men, would you believe me? Hearing the mockery, Julian snapped. His eyes turned bloodshot. Fine, you don't believe me? I'll show you. Do it then. Prove it or you're a dog. Cornered and mentally broken, Julian dropped his pants right there in the middle of the ballroom. Look at it. I don't have anything. Do you believe me now? Ha ha. Dead silence. The air froze. Everyone stared at the man with his trousers around his ankles, or rather, at the mutilated ruin of his groin. Seconds passed before the room erupted in screams and gasps. Women covered their eyes. Men stared in shock. No one expected that. Elena's pupils constricted. She stared at Julian's twisted, laughing face and the emptiness between his legs. Her stomach churned, and she retched into a trash can. Now do you believe me? Julian laughed hysterically, tears streaming down his face. I'm a eunuch. How could I rape her? How? Tiffany, recovering, kept crying. Even if you can't. You took off my clothes and touched me. That's still assault. You can't deny that. I didn't. Julian tried to pull his pants up, waving his arms like a maniac. Just the jacket. The damn jacket. Slap. Elena rushed forward like a madwoman and slapped him again. She stared at him with deep humiliation and despair. So you've been lying to me. You're not a man. Why did you trick me into divorcing? She screamed. You bastard. You piece of trash. Go to hell. Julian's head snapped to the side. His cheek swelled rapidly. He slowly turned back, looking at Elena's crazed face, and suddenly grinned. What? His voice was raspy, mocking. Because you're a cheap woman. You want to have your cake, and eat it too. You don't deserve Caleb. I wanted you to have nothing. I wanted you ruined. I told you I had a big surprise, didn't I? Look at the screen. Julian pulled out his phone and cast his entire chat history with Elena onto the projector. Look, everyone. This is the real Elena Vance. Sexting me while married. Sending nudes. If I'm trash, what does that make her? Giant images of explicit texts and nude photos filled the screen. Julian, I miss you. When are you coming back? Caleb is so boring, always working. Come back, and I'll divorce him for you. Miss me? Here's a little treat. The photos were shocking. The room's gaze shifted from Julian to Elena. Elena froze, face ash white. Watching her secret shame broadcasted, she felt her world collapse. The crowd exploded again. God, sending nudes while married? Shameless. Great body, though. Prom queen indeed. Those two deserve each other. Keep them away from normal people. Caleb dodged a bullet. Bad luck marrying that. Elena screamed and lunged at Julian. Turn it off. Turn it off. I'll kill you. The birthday party had turned into a complete farce. Tori and I watched the chaos from the mezzanine balcony. She threw herself into my arms, looking up with deep emotion. Caleb, she didn't deserve you. She didn't cherish you. Eat dough. Looking at her stunning face and misty eyes, my heart skipped a beat. She had backed me for 5 years. I knew her feelings. Any warmth for Elena was long gone. With a beauty in my arms, I didn't hesitate. I kissed her deeply. After the fiasco, Julian vanished. My PI reported he went to Thailand, then South Korea, and the trail went cold. Tori and I had a joint project in Europe. We worked, then vacationed for 2 weeks. When I returned home, Elena was waiting at the villa gate. She looked haggard, hair messy, exhausted. Seeing me, her eyes lit up. Caleb, you're finally back. I've been waiting 10 days. Why didn't you answer my calls? I missed you. I missed you so much. She tried to hug me. I stepped back. She stumbled. I looked at her with disdain. Ms. Vance, have some dignity. Didn't you say that even if I knelt, you wouldn't look at me? What is this? Elena turned pale, lips trembling. Caleb, I was angry. She looked at me pitifully, tears falling. Caleb, we were together for so long. I know you still love me. Give me another chance, please. I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. A chance? I laughed. Elena, I gave you my heart and soul. How did you repay me? When you were sexting Julian, sending him nudes, demanding a divorce, where was this regret? What right do you have to ask for a chance? She stumbled, nearly falling. Elena, if Julian hadn't lied to you, would you be here? She froze. Her eyes darted around in panic, tears flowing. No. Caleb, I really realized my mistake. She lunged at me again. I slapped her to the ground. Get out. I walked through the gates, ignoring her. Behind me, she wailed heart-wrenchingly. Indeed, belated affection is cheaper than dirt. My heart felt nothing. I thought I had been clear enough, but Elena continued to intercept me everywhere. Sometimes she stood outside my office building all day. Such persistence. I never spoke to her. My security detail kept her at a distance. A month later, Tori and I walked out of the building together. Elena rushed us, glaring at Tori with pure hatred. Great. Tori Ashcroft. I wondered why Caleb ignored me. It was you, you seductress. How shameless can you be? Smack. I slapped her across the face, glaring ferociously. Elena, watch your mouth. Elena clutched her cheek, staring in disbelief. Caleb, you hit me? Again? For her? What does she have? Just some dirty money. I laughed out of sheer exasperation. I pulled Tori close by her slim waist, looking at Elena with pity. What does she have? Elena, are you joking? Don't you know my company's success is because of her? She's wealthier than you, more beautiful than you, has better legs, comes from a dynasty, and, crucially, she doesn't cheat. I was blind to ever look at you. Now that I'm awake, why would I ever look back? My words were sledgehammers. She swayed, stunned. She looked at my hand on Tori's waist, then at Tori's arrogant beauty, then at her own disheveled reflection. She laughed, a sound of desolate grief. Watching her crumble, I spoke calmly. Elena, I know where Julian is. Want to come see? I signaled the bodyguards to grab her. Tori and I took the lead car. Elena and 3 guards followed in the second. Tori pinched my waist, smiling. Was that compliment real? I caught her hand and whispered. Every word, except one thing. She raised an eyebrow. I kissed her cheek. I shouldn't have said I was blind. It should have been I didn't see you sooner. Tori blushed and looked away. Smooth talker. I laughed and hugged her. My PI had tracked Julian immediately. Oh, right. He wasn't Julian anymore. He was Julia. He, or she, was working as a waitress at my favorite high-end steakhouse, clearly plotting something. We arrived at the restaurant. A bodyguard who shared my build, and I put on masks and entered a private room. We ordered. The bodyguard set up hidden cameras. We swapped clothes and watches. I dressed as security and left, rushing to the parking lot to watch the feed from the van. Inside, the bodyguard drank the wine and pretended to pass out on the table. 5 minutes later, Julian in a waitress uniform, entered. Even with the plastic surgery, the resemblance was there. She shook the bodyguard. No reaction. She relaxed. Julia stroked the bodyguard's hair, eyes filled with obsession. You're finally mine. Do you know how long I've waited? Her gaze turned vicious. That accident years ago. I wanted Elena to die. That damn driver swerved and hit me instead. Damn her. How did she survive? Caleb, do you know? When we graduated and you said you liked Elena, my heart shattered. I felt the world abandon me. I wanted to run, to forget you. So I went to Europe. But for 5 years, I couldn't forget. I wanted you more. In the van, Tori looked at me with a mischievous, weirded out expression. I glared at her, feeling nauseous. Inside the room, Elena's reality shattered. She was trembling violently. Julia continued. When I heard your company went public, I thought, why can't I be the one standing next to you? Why that bitch Elena? She sexted me, sent nudes, she's trash. She doesn't deserve you. So I came back. I hung out with her just to break you two up. I tricked her into the zero settlement divorce. That idiot listened to everything I said. It was hilarious. I planned it all. I tricked her out of her last $1 million for startup capital, marked as a voluntary gift. A stupid woman like that doesn't deserve you, my Caleb. At her party, I planned to ruin her, then flee abroad for the surgery. Fully transition, then come back for you. But, Caleb, you outsmarted me. But I don't blame you. Who let me love you for so long? Now, you're mine. Only mine. Sitting in the car, hearing this, Elena snapped. She threw open the door, eyes blood red, and sprinted into the restaurant. Tori and I exchanged a glance and followed. When we burst into the room, Elena had grabbed a steak knife and was plunging it repeatedly into Julia's stomach. Julian stared in disbelief. Blood sprayed everywhere, a horrific contrast to his pale face. You? Julian's voice faded. Elena, you actually... He looked at me, standing in the doorway in the bodyguard uniform, eyes wide with shock. You're Caleb. How? Ha ha. I'm so stupid. As the guards moved to subdue Elena, she stabbed him several more times. You bastard. Go to hell. Tori called 911. Julian died in the ambulance. Elena was arrested. I hadn't expected it to end like this. Elena sent word she wanted to see me one last time. I decided to go. Behind the glass, she wailed. Caleb, I'm sorry. I was stupid. Julian played me like a fiddle. He was right. I don't deserve you. I am cheap. I am shameless. Caleb, if there's a next life, let's not meet. I wish you happiness. I sighed and said nothing. Walking out of the detention center, Tori flew into my arms. Caleb, I'm pregnant. Let's get married, okay? The surprise left me momentarily stunned. Then I swept her up into the air. Yes, whenever you want. The clouds parted. The sun was shining.